arising from your application for the position of Judge of Appeal. If you could begin by telling us your county.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, my lady, chairperson of the commission and the members of the commission. My county is Garissa County.
And your ethnicity?
Kenyan Somali.
Thank you very much. You know why we ask those
yes,
questions?
I know, yes, yeah.
Yes. So you can briefly tell us about your background, your academic, professional, and work experience. You know we are looking for a good judge.
Yes.
You have come from private practice. You have never worked as a judge, so we want to know why you think you fit the bill, what particular skills you'll be bringing, and what value you'll be adding to the Court of Appeal where you have applied.
Thank you very much, my lady, the Chief Justice. I have been practicing law for the last 26 years. I was admitted to the bar in February 1995. I graduated from the University of Nairobi in 1992 with a bachelor's degree in law, and then went to Kenya School of Law in 1994. When I was admitted, I started practicing law, and I've been practicing in the area of commercial law and constitutional law. I became a partner and head of litigation department, eventually rising to become the managing partner of the law firm when my senior partner left and joined the judiciary. So I have experience in the practice of the law, and after 2009, my lady, I was appointed to chair in 2000 I was appointed to be a commissioner in the Constitution of Kenya Review Commission, which was the first commission set up to review the Constitution. It was chaired by Professor Jasper Algai, and I was among one of the youngest commissioners actually, and I took a lot of active part in that commission. I was the rapporteur on the Committee on Judiciary, the Judiciary chapter. I prepared a number of working papers to support the committee, including a working paper on the Qadi's courts, which were then, at that time, controversial. They became quite controversial between the evangelical churches and the Muslims. And my lady, after I left the commission in 2006, 6 years later, I joined the UNDP Somalia as a legal consultant to help them in the Somalia constitution making project. Because of my experience in Kenya and because of knowing the language in which they speak, I was recruited again to support the constitution making project in Somalia. And again, I gave them my experience and worked with them. After that, my lady, I was appointed chair of the interim Independent Electoral Commission of Kenya in May 2009. And I have been in charge of elections for close to 8 years, between 2009 May to January 2017. After that, my lady, I joined international organizations as a consultant on elections. I became an international consultant for the United Nations in Somalia and Afghanistan. I first went to Somalia as a international elections consultant with the UN election project in Somalia to support the Somali National Commission, Electoral Commission on governance. After that, I was deployed to Afghanistan, where I again served as senior international advisor to the Electoral Commission. before finally being appointed as an international non-voting commissioner of the Electoral Commission. This was a very unique appointment in the sense that two foreigners were allowed to join a national commission and take part in managing elections. The UN was given 2 slots to nominate 2 people to join the Electoral Commission in Afghanistan. It was advertised on their portals. I applied, I was interviewed, and I was recruited. And I worked as a commissioner for 2 years. I conducted the elections for president in that country, and under very difficult circumstances. As you know, there was civil war going on, violence. It was not a very safe place to do a good election. But again, it exposed my mind and my experience. I got a very good experience looking at conducting elections in conflict and post-conflict countries, and also understanding what happens when a country goes through civil war. Really, it's very, very sad. You see the rule of law has completely broken down. It is a terrible thing to see institutions that are unable to function. So, my Lord, I have come back now after Afghanistan. I again was approached by the African Union. They were doing their last elections in last year, and I joined them as a senior legal expert to help them conduct the elections in Somalia. So I have been doing this international election consultancy work while still doing my legal work in Kenya, and still also chairing a board of Kenya Industrial Property Institute, which is a parastatal in charge of intellectual property rights. So I have been very busy doing a lot of multitasking, legal work, board work, and then consultancy on elections.
Yes, thank you for sharing that very rich background. The rest of issues will be covered in the detailed questions. But just tell us, we appreciate your rich experience writing the Constitution, CKERC, and also being the chairman of the Electoral Commission of Kenya. But we'll just be interested because the judge we are looking for is a good judge who will be able to fit in Korengio Court, considering you haven't been writing judgments, how you're going to fit in that setup. You've been dealing with electoral disputes, which are important, but a very small segment of the work that is in the Court of Appeal. So what leadership are you going to bring? Because we are battling with the backlog of cases, civil, criminal, land matters. What are you going to bring in that setup?
Thank you very much. Thank you, my lady. Even as a lawyer, when I was doing my work, in the law firm, as a managing partner, I was of course managing the law firm, the advocates, the staff, and making sure that we are able to deliver for our clients and do that work. So in a small way, from my private practice, I was able to lead a small group of lawyers, interns, associates, and secretaries. After that, of course, I went into the bigger role of chair of the commission, which was to chair the commissioners and the senior staff of the commission. I got a lot of experience dealing with the people, dealing with 9 commissioners at a very difficult time and a very sensitive time, very emotive issues on elections. We tried not to vote. I have tried to make sure that we build consensus. We try to make sure that we don't vote. And sometimes I will do what I call the meeting before the meeting. If I know that something is burning and is very controversial and somebody is going to, I will try and go to the office of the commissioner and talk to the person and try and see what is bothering him. So I was able to build a good collegiate commission during my time for 8 years.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and CJ. Mr. Ahmed, some of the questions I intended to ask you about leadership, you have touched on, and also in the answer you have just given to our chair, to the questions he has asked you. Clearly, the record shows, and you have told us about the areas you have played a role as a leader. This time, we are interested in your leadership that will translate into performance at the Court of Appeal. We expect a judge of the Court of Appeal to have vision, to be a visionary leader. Leadership is a capacity to translate vision into reality. What attributes of vision, or what visionary attributes and qualities do you think you have that you can bring and apply in the Court of Appeal? And even by showing some examples of what you have achieved in that line.
My lady, and thank you very much, Senior my Lord Commissioner. As a leader, I think when I took over leadership of the Electoral Commission, it was not there. There was ECK was disbanded. The staff was sacked. So I had to build the body from scratch, from the ground up. And I think we established a vision. My vision was that we were there for 24 months. We had a mandate under the Constitution. We were given 24 months to build a commission, to conduct voter registration, and to do a referendum, and go away. That was our mandate. And I think from my own view was that if we were going to have a good commission, commissioners should not be the ones who are going to do the work. Commissioners should be part-time, should be strictly to policy and oversight, but we need to build a very strong and robust civil service, which is permanent, and we should be able to pay them well and retain them. And so I actually fought very hard to get the CEO of the commission even earning more than the chairman and the commissioners. At the time we were setting up, because we knew we were going away, but we want to have a commission that's going to live and stay on even after we leave. So for me, that was my vision, was to establish this commission that can survive and live on after us. And when we did that, I think IEBC is today one of the most professional, strong bodies in the region. It is known. Commissioners can come and go, but the Secretariat has maintained that professionalism. And because of because of the foundation I laid and I built. I had a vision to have this institution serve the country for the foreseeable future.
Thank you. Thank you. I go to another aspect of leadership, and we in our strategic plan and in the vision of the judiciary, the tenure of our Honorable Chief Justice, we have the judiciary's social transformation through access to justice. That's the vision that we have. So transformation, as in case you are appointed to be judge of the Court of Appeal, what transformative ideas do you think you would apply or introduce you know the structure of the court. You know the jurisdiction of the court and what role it plays in administration of justice. So, what kind of transformative tasks or objectives would you have for the court?
I will be. Thank you very much, my lord, for the question. First, I think I'm part of a team. The Court of Appeal is a collegiate court, and I will not be the first to talk about my ideas. I think I have to admit that I am going to be riding on the shoulders of more senior, more experienced people in the court already. I will be joining this court, but I will come with my own experience that I think I can add value. Where I think in this particular area, I think I can add this value, and whether it is election, whether it is post-conflict countries, whether it is conducting election dispute resolution mechanisms in the country. I have my own. I have collected experience across the region, and which I think I will bring to the collegiate court as my value addition to the decision-making process.
Okay, thank you. To that extent, thank you very much. One of the constitutional values in our constitution and principles, whether it is under Chapter 6 and many other articles, including Article 10, Article 73 of the Constitution, is about integrity. Integrity is a value that we cherish and has been embedded in the Constitution as a constitutional requirement, particularly in public bodies and in state officers as individuals. What are your integrity? I would say, what is your view about this, the principles and tenets of integrity, and what role has it played any role in the service and the performance you have had in other institutions?
Thank you very much, Judge. When we were drafting those principles in 2000 at Leisure Lodge, this issue of corruption in the country, in the year 2000, corruption in Kenya was very, very bad. It had reached epidemic level. Corruption was at industrial scale. It was too bad. So everywhere we went, when we were consulting with the people, it was always about corruption, lack of integrity. The leaders were not. So it was something which the commissioners, who are going around the country collecting views, saw as a very important issue, that we need to have a chapter to deal with this issue. So my point is this: on integrity, especially in the judiciary, it's very important, because this is the place where you dispense justice. And in my humble view, I think it is how you conduct yourself as a judge, the judgment you give, allowing or not allowing yourself to be influenced by government or by other forces outside the court. I think that's something which we and of course obeying the code of conduct, the judicial code of conduct. Ultimately, I think John Maxwell says integrity is an inside job. It is an inside job. It is something which you have to have as an individual when you come into this job. It's a calling. It's like a priesthood. If you become a judge, integrity is going to be the cornerstone of your job.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hassan. That's all from me.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hassan, just to elaborate further on what you've just said about corruption and the fact that it's been with us almost institutionalized for many, many years. It continues to derail the independence of the judiciary. And with your background and experience, what is the recipe? What would you prescribe as a remedy to the corruption within the judiciary today?
Thank you very much, my Lord, the Attorney General. I think we have to have a system of conducting lifestyle audit on ourselves every year. That's something which we can't. I have now filed an application for a job, and I have filed my wealth declaration. After this, every other year, we should be able to do a lifestyle audit to know whether I am living above my means. That's, I think, one area of a quick gain. Of course, it's not a silver lining. It can't just solve everything, because others are able to hide elsewhere ill-gotten wealth. So I think establishing an office within the Judicial Service Commission to follow up on integrity issues is something which I think you may need to invest in. Instead of waiting for rumors or complaints or bad press to come, I think we can still have a department within the commission that can already pick the whispers before they become screams.
Thank you very much. One more question for you, Mr. Hassan. You will know of Justice Albissax.
Albissax, yes.
And you will have read him and heard him speak about the 3 C's. The C of civility, the C of courage, and the C of collegiality. Why are these very important in a court like the Court of Appeal, where you're seeking to be a member of?
I think thank you again. I think civility, courage, collegiality, and even some the other qualities which are required in the Bangalore principles, I think they make the work of the court easier. If you are civil, you may disagree with a point of view, but you can disagree in a very agreeable way. And I think civility and courtesy and respect for your colleague will allow you to even try to bridge the gap and look for the common things that you agree on. I think it may not be always a consensus, but for courage, when an individual is very strong in his opinion about a particular issue, he can be allowed to write a dissenting judgment, a dissenting opinion. But again, when you talk about civility and collegiality, you have to respect that courage of that judge to say, I'm going to write my own different judgment. That means again that you respect the person, and that out of that you are actually building the collegiality. And a point may come eventually when you will actually come to learn each other. You can be able to then convince each other and have a very good court which has got more or less consensus judgment.
Thank you very much, sir. That's all from me, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable CJ. Wakili, you talked about your strength in election matters. Other than election matters, what are your other strengths you want to bring to the court?
I did a lot of work in commercial and constitutional law. My lady, if I started practicing in 1995, and some of the work that I did actually. My first job that I did was one involving the Somali embassy. After the civil war in Somalia, the ambassador of Somalia to Kenya decided to take advantage of the civil war, and he sold the land, which was owned by the government of Somalia, to a businessman. And so clients who were, other diplomatic staff who are not happy with the sale came to us to complain and to help them. So I took it up, and it was one of my most interesting cases because it involved diplomatic law, diplomatic immunity, and the government eventually arrested those diplomats. They were charged in court. We tried to plead diplomatic immunity. We did not get that immunity, but ultimately the court was persuaded to stop the sale, and and it took about 15 years for the case to go on. But that's just one case that I'm talking about. So I have experience in commercial cases. In international law disputes, I have worked for clients who had disputes with the United Nations, and I've sued the UN in Nairobi up to the Court of Appeal, where eventually we went for arbitration in Egypt. So I have experience in commercial law. I have done constitutional petitions, applications, one of which I was very disappointed was to challenge the screening card. The Kenyan Somalis were forced to pick the screening card in 1989. So when I became a lawyer, I was always waiting for an opportunity for someone to come and complain that, he has been discriminated, is being required to produce a pink card, the screening card. And I took up that case pro bono without any charging fees because I wanted to test this law. But ultimately, again, I lost in the High Court, and the client was not willing to go to the Court of Appeal. So, but I have Judge Warsame, I have doubled up in not only in elections. Election was actually a much later experience in life, but my other work was on commercial law, constitutional law, and civil law.
Okay, tell us about your exposure in criminal law.
In criminal law, my lady, and the commissioners, I have done work in from Garissa. In Wajir, there was violence between communities over land, pastoralist land, and it became like a civil war between the communities. And I think 5 of them were charged for murder in Wajir. In the High Court there was no High Court in Wajir at that time, so they had to be brought to Nairobi, and I was acting for them all the way up to the Court of Appeal. Ultimately, I was able to free 2 out of the 5. I also appeared for a very interesting case where pirates, not pirates, but people hijacked a plane. There was civil war in Somalia. They were running away from fighting. At the airport, they took charge of a ICRC plane and told the pilot, fly us, and they told him, bring us to Kenya. So when he came to Wilson Airport, he alerted the security that, he has been hijacked. And so the police arrested the 5 hijackers. And I acted for them in the court up to the High Court. Again, a very interesting case because they were claiming that they were running away from war. But here, they were also being accused of violating our law, aviation law, hijacking a plane, forcing the pilot to bring them to Kenya. Again, these are just examples of matters that I have dealt with in the course of my life, Judge Osame.
Okay. Thank you very much. I wish you well. Thank you, Honorable CJ.
Thank you, CJ, Chair. Good afternoon. I just wish to confirm that I'm the one who represented, you remember we did the trial.
Yes, yes.
Represented the purchasers of the Somali embassy.
Oh yes, I
And
remember
we
that.
lost the case. Just a few questions. You said you've done a lot of commercial law. Are you familiar with the case of New to Agrovet and Airtel Networks by the Supreme Court?
Yes, I think this is a matter involving arbitration.
Yes. Now, just want us to just talk about arbitration a bit. There's a doctrine in arbitration called competence. What does it mean, and how does it apply to arbitrations?
Competence.
It's a very well-known phrase in arbitration.
I have not done a lot of arbitration, my lord. I will be very frank with you.
Okay.
And but I have read that judgment of Agrovet.
Okay.
And the Senate, yes.
you
And so
have.
I know now the different arguments you have made.
Yes.
And the final judgment of the court.
Okay, so this is what the Supreme Court said, that an appeal may lie to the court when the decision is so grave, so manifestly wrong, and which has closed the door to justice to either party.
Yes, yes.
That's what they say.
Yes.
Now, the situation you'll face in the Court of Appeal is dissembling this language. Can you give us 2 or 3 instances where such a situation would arise? Just give me 2 or 3 instances.
Where the High Court, I think an appeal is basically arbitration is binding on the parties
Yes.
who have agreed to go for arbitration, and there are very clear procedures under which you can appeal to the High Court against an arbitral award. But even after that, I think the Court of Appeal has said you can appeal to the Court of Appeal on the very specific circumstances, and where the
So I
High
just
Court,
want you to give me 2 circumstances
Yes.
you think what was contemplated by the Supreme Court.
where there was a miscarriage of justice,
Just
a
give me
very
2.
clear miscarriage of justice,
Just give me 2 examples of what you think that would be.
where the High Court was not able to give a very clear decision on what. There was no end in the litigation or the arbitration. There was no clear end of the. For example, when someone gave money to somebody else, and they go for arbitration, and it is stopped, or the High Court makes a decision which does not allow this person to get back his money, I think that's something which we will call a gross miscarriage of justice, at least from what I read in the Agrovet case.
So if the party who is aggrieved, doesn't it have a remedy under the terms of setting aside that award?
Yes, of course, yes.
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 So do you agree with me that the Supreme Court was wrong in the sense that there was always a remedy for setting aside an award which was against public policy, and public policy includes miscarriage of justice?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And finally, on another issue, can you tell us any human rights instruments that governs child rights across Africa?
There's a African Charter on People's Rights,
Yes, but there's another one on children.
the Convention for the Convention on the Rights of the Child.
The Africa Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child.
Yes, yeah.
Yes. Are you familiar with it or its contents?
No.
How does it apply to Kenya?
Kenya is a member of the African Union, and I think if they have not yet signed or ratified the treaty, it will still be binding on us, because the treaty always has a threshold. If, for example, 16 countries or 18 countries sign on, it becomes already binding in the continent.
Under the constitution, we can have a treaty that is not ratified but applicable to Kenya.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions. Thank you, Chair.
Just a few questions. Now, you you mentioned that when you're going all over the country collecting views,
Yes.
during your tenure at the CKRC, I think,
Yes.
that members of the public complained a lot about matters of corruption. Now, which brings me to the question, from where you sit, do you think the judiciary has played its rightful role in dealing with these concerns of the public relating to matters of corruption?
Thank you, Senior. I think they have tried their best. The current judiciary, after it has been transformed, after the vetting, after the new constitution, after the judicial transformation came in, I think we have had very good success stories of the judiciary in fighting the corruption. There are, of course, those who say that there is too much injunctions being given, too much conservatory orders being issued by High Court judges, and that sometimes people who are corrupt use the court orders to, to try and frustrate the process. But I think the judiciary has, in my humble view, has tried its best to work. The judiciary can only decide on what it is brought to them by the investigators, by the EACC, by the DPP, and by the DCI. So it's not them to go and investigate. It is they decide. So if you bring a very weak case to the courts and they are dismissed, it's not the mistake of the judges. Yes.
Okay. Now, again, from your estimation, why does the public keep complaining about the issues of corruption? What is the main driving factor?
Sometimes it is a perception. It is very. If you are in a public office, and I have been in a public office for 8 years, so I'm talking from experience. They will imagine that you were given 2.5 billion shillings to do elections. You must have taken 10%. It is a perception created in the mind of the people that these people are going. Some of them, because they are corrupt in their own mind, they think you are also corrupt. So you are also going to take the money. You are eating the money. So it is I think it is our own values as a society, as a nation. We have to go back to our values.
But now, coming specifically to the role of the judiciary,
Yes.
do you think the courts have done their very best when it comes to this chapter of chapter 6, leadership and integrity, in terms of defining and ensuring that proper jurisprudence around it is developed that can go towards dealing with these issues of corruption, especially relating to the those public officials? Do you think that the courts have done that?
I think they have, and I think credit goes to Justice Mumbi. I mean, she was among the first to really start this very hot handle, but she opened that door, and I think the judiciary and the Kenyans have now come to accept that those who have been accused of corruption or who are in office or who have been impeached need to step aside or get out of office or be stopped from contesting for elections. And I think it is something which is commendable and should go on. Yes.
Now, if we take it to the Court of Appeal, what are your thoughts around development of the jurisprudence around that area so that judiciary can play its rightful role in ensuring that you have leaders who are untainted,
Yes.
Don't get into public offices?
I think in the Court of Appeal we just have to support the jurisprudence coming out of the High Court because it begins from there. The ethics and provisions being enforced by the High Court is something which will come to the Court of Appeal, most likely on appeal by those who are affected by the orders issued. And so I think if there's very clear evidence of a governor having taken money for the county, and it is evidence very clear it has gone to his account or to his daughter's account or child's or wife. I mean, there are things that are so clear. I don't know why we don't just say it as it is. I think we just need to have the courage and just say we can't accept this. Let's stop it. I think I will myself go for that. Really.
All right. Now, studies. I read to you a statement. Studies. We are moving to a different thing. Studies which have been conducted have said that judicial independence and efficiency has direct impact on economic development and improvement of business environment.
Yes.
Judicial independence and efficiency has direct impact on economic development and improvement of business environment. Now, having been a commercial lawyer who has practiced, and of course you're in the environment, what do you think judiciary should be able to do towards realizing this statement? And now, secondly, on your part, what kind of jurisprudence do you think you'd be part of in developing again towards realizing this objective?
Thank you very much, Senior, for that question again. Yes, as a commercial lawyer who is handling cases for clients, we were very frustrated a long time, where you come to court and in the morning at 9 o'clock and you leave at 5 o'clock in the evening having done nothing. You go back very tired. And it was, I mean, I'm sure I think we met in the corridors many times. So the ease of doing business, this actually goes to give the bad image outside there that you can't do business in Kenya. And so even foreign direct investments goes down. Even those who want to invest in the country. And I think our judiciary have a role to play by making sure that we fast track and hear these complaints, these disputes, so that we are able to enable business to grow and people to move on with the business. I think that's what I will say, and I'll be very happy myself to be in a court that can facilitate and create an environment in which we have an environment which is friendly to business people and communities.
Okay. So my final question towards that, what steps would you specifically take? You know, of course, it's to be a collegiate court if
Yes.
you do get to the Court of Appeal. What steps do you think, some of the strategies that you think could be adopted? Because we are facing the same problem now in the Court of Appeal,
Yes.
expediting even appeals and all that. So what steps do you think you'd be part of in taking to ensure that you're able to realize what you are saying, making this, judiciary playing its role in economic development?
I think if we can as judges say that this particular file or this matter is very weighty and very important. It has got a lot of impact on the larger national economy. For example, it's SGR, or it is a bigger the port issues. You know, you can say, well, let's give this a priority, and give and even if it means sitting up to the 6 in the evening, you do that. That for me is something which I would say is as a party, as a nationalist, as a Kenyan patriot, to help my country get economic development. I will do that. I would say so. I would say let's there are so many commercial complaints coming every day everywhere, but there are some that you can say this needs to be fast tracked because they go to the heart. They are very important and they're very key.
That's all, Honorable Chief Justice.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Council. I've just gone through your sample writings, and I have 2 questions with regards to what you have provided. The one on legal impediments to the development of northern Kenya. You did that in 2008.
Yes.
Has the situation changed with devolution? That's just a general question.
Yes. It has changed.
Okay, so if you are to do the paper now, you'll have better things.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, and then the second question is the working document that you submitted to the Constitutional Review Commission on Kadhi's courts, Chief Kadhi and Kadhi.
Yes.
What is your take? Because there's been controversies, though I would not really call it controversies, but we have it kind of settled by the High Court that the Kadhi's court lacked jurisdiction to hear children matters. That is one. And then the other one is there is this provision of Article 175 that talks of submit to the jurisdiction of the Kadhi's court. There are concerns out here that that provision has been used or misused to take away the powers of the Kadhis to handle certain matters. Could you kindly share with us your views on the 2 issues?
Thank you very much, Commissioner, for that question. I think the Kadhi courts, during the constitution making process in Kenya from 2000, in fact, when the 2005, the first referendum, when we lost that constitution, a lot of the loss was coming from opposition by the evangelical churches, who were saying that these courts you are bringing the Sharia, Islamic Sharia, through the back door. And so this paper I did was to help the commissioners understand what this court is all about. I even went to other countries, research, did this, and I was then appointed by Professor Yashpal Gai to join a committee with the other Eventually we came back to let's keep it the way they were at independence. That's what we resolved. But even then, I think if you give them the role to handle marriage, divorce and inheritance, I think the other sections that try to with one hand you give them a power, and then with the other hand you take away, or you undermine that authority. It's not good. And I argued for that in myself, that it should be given a very clear-cut authority on these 3 matters, because that's what the Muslims want. And for women not to be forced, we said it is only those Muslims who agree to submit themselves before that court, because they can still choose to go to the Magistrates Court or the High Court.
And what do you think would be the role of the court, or Superior Court, in addressing the challenge you have identified?
I think if the Superior Court can look into the use of the Kadhis as assessors. There was a procedure before, when the High Court was listening to a matter of Islamic law. They will call a Kadhi a judge will be seated with the Qadi who will give him advice on the Islamic concept on marriage, divorce, and inheritance. But I don't know whether that is still the practice now or it has been abolished.
Okay, thank you. And what's your understanding, Council, on the concept of family?
Family.
Yes. What is a family?
I am married. I have got 3 daughters and a son. My concept, my father was an imam of a mosque, and he had 4 wives. I have 12 sisters and 8 brothers. So according to me, the family is that the father, the mother, and the children.
Okay,
That's what I consider to be the family. I know the question where it's coming from.
No. Please don't preempt my questions. So, would a situation where there is a divorced couple, a divorced husband and the children, would you regard that as a family?
A divorced
husband living with the children, would that be a family?
Of course, it's family if he's the father, if he's the biological father.
So it doesn't have to be a father, a mother, and children. So has the concept of that, because I'm looking at it, your definition of a family is the traditional setup.
Yeah, my traditional view. But of course, not all marriages last for life. There's going to be a divorce, there'll be disagreement, and sometimes kids will go with the mother, and sometimes they will go with the father.
Okay.
So either way, it is still a family.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there is the generation we are in, there is this concept of people living together without undergoing any customary or legal registration, what is called out here come we stay or cohabitation. Would you regard that as a family?
Come we stay.
But that is the title used, but cohabitation, the legal term, or common law marriage?
I think the law has there's a lot of case law which now says if people have lived together and cohabited together, and given their demeanor and comportment is very clear that they are husband and wife, they are going to be regarded as such.
Okay, so
yes.
You were saying you knew the question I was asking you. Did you know that is the question I wanted to ask?
No.
Okay.
No.
Thank you. Glad to hear that you say cohabitees are families that would require protection. Article 2(6) of the Constitution provides that treaties and conventions ratified by Kenya forms part of Kenyan law.
Yes.
In terms of hierarchy, where would you place them? Hierarchy of laws.
Obviously, the Constitution of Kenya is superior.
Yes.
It's the supreme law, followed by Acts of Parliament. But customary international law or treaties which have been ratified by Kenya form part of the domestic law. They are domesticated. They are not different. Once we adopt the treaty, we now have legislation which allows Parliament to domesticate that law and make it as part of our laws.
So it will be under what part? After Constitution, Acts of Parliament, below Acts of Parliament, or the same level?
I think they will at the same level, in my view.
Okay. My last question, which is a bit controversial, and most of my colleagues have asked that I ask. There is this soundbite. You know the problem with media, and I hope they'll not again use this to now tell me Ingutia said the problem with media is that there is this soundbite that was going around news when you were to appear, you and your commissioners were to appear before the jailer committee.
Yes.
And this is what was being played. Some of us are fasting. Some of us are fasting in Ramadan. It is actually an offense to lie when you're fasting. That was a soundbite. And the concerns my members are asking is, what was the context, and is it true that that is exactly what you said, and what would happen ordinarily if it's not that period? Would you be telling lies? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Council. No, I think the media will always like to sensationalize and make news, and IBC was always making news. And I think we had reached a point when they had decided now they are going to. Sometimes the media is with you, and they help you, they help your profile, they help the institution. But when they decide to turn against you, you are going to, you can go nowhere. Anything you say, they will just twist it. And I was told, you can never fight the media unless you own one, or you are one. So that time, I think what I said was this: the chairman of the JLAC said, "You are going to swear before you give testimony." We were just coming to give. We have been working with the JLAC for 8 years. We used to go there once every year to report. We had been having workshops, retreats, looking at laws. Then all of a sudden, one day they say, "We don't trust you. You go and you must swear." So it was something which was first out of the blue, and the commissioners were taken aback. So we were first unhappy with that. Why are you doing this? Why now? But then, as a matter of, for me, I was just adding it. I was saying, you don't even have to make us swear, because if you don't trust us now, and so you want us to swear, I can assure you, we are fasting. So you don't have to make us to swear on oath, because we are fasting. We are not allowed to lie. Okay. So it was a very only on that. I did not mean that I want to lie, and that I need the opportunity to lie.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks for clarifying that. We now know you will be telling the truth in all the 12 months. Thank you. Thank you so much, Chairperson. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Chair. And I think you are supposed to be all the time to say the truth and nothing but the truth. Now, I will focus on public service, and you have done a good job as a public servant for those 8 years, and also during your time in the commission. If you are to reflect during your tenure as a chair of IBC, which one decision would you say, or you can take home, that I made the decision and I'm very comfortable that it has been able to change the way we do things in this country? One decision that you made as a chair of IBC. You can choose any.
I think the decision to accept to step down.
You stepped
it was very difficult decision.
Was it because of pressure, or you could not be able to take more than what you had on your back?
No. I saw that you hear what the late Saitoti said. There comes a time.
So your time came.
When the interest of the nation is greater than that of the individual. So me and all the 8 commissioners agreed to resign and take our package, the remainder of our term, gratuity and ex gratia payment, because there was a political confrontation, and the country was not looking good. We did not want to go back to 2007. We had made so much progress. So if it was only 8 people who have to go to stop this, I think it was worth it.
It's public services that you have to commit yourself to the best you can do. Now, reflecting at the Article 232 and the Article 10 of the Constitution of Public Service, one of the key principles there is fairness and public participation. You oversaw, I think, at the same time, the chair of IBC, the delimitation of boundaries, an issue that was very contentious
yes,
to date.
Yes.
Would you satisfy this, some of us, that particular process satisfied that value of the Constitution of fairness and public participation on that aspect of delimitation of the boundaries in this country.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. I think you were in Parliament that time.
Just go ahead.
So you know that that report was prepared by Legale. There was a interim independent boundaries review commission. They did all the work and they did the report. So when IBC was formed, the job was to pick the Legale report and then go with the rest within 4 months, finish it and then prepare for elections. So some of the thing we are doing was already done. So we were just picking up and just say we were told matters are rising, 1, 2, 3, and we tried very hard to talk to the people. We had a lot of public engagement, and I think by and large, when people went to court to challenge our decisions, none of them got an order against the commission.
Okay. My final question, Madam Chair. You also say that you foresaw the establishment of efficient and effective secretariat at
Yes.
IBC.
Yes.
What goes in my mind? They had two the chief executive officers who never completed their term.
Yes.
Then, can you still believe that it was efficient and effective on that aspect?
Two CEOs who did not finish their term. You mean?
No names.
Okay. The first one, I think, was because of governance issues.
Good.
That made him be charged for. But those are now at the individual level. I was talking about the institution, the way it's built. It is built in such a way that we picked the best and the brightest in the country. The way we have social justice through access to justice, we actually established a constituency. In every constituency, we had an election official.
Okay.
So we took services closer to the people, the way you were doing now in the judiciary.
Okay.
And we had regional offices everywhere.
All right.
So what I meant is, we have an electoral commission where even when two CEOs have gone, there are people who are a core civil service, professional, permanent, who have now learned, and they keep on building on their experience and doing better.
Sorry, I said that this is my last question. You want to go to the Court of Appeal.
Yes.
Would you share with us two key stakeholders for the Court of Appeal, in your view, that are very critical for that court? Two key stakeholders.
I think the first one will be the Supreme Court.
Supreme Court?
Yes. The High Court.
The High Court.
Judicial Service Commission.
Outside judiciary. Can you go outside judiciary?
The Attorney General.
The Attorney General, yes.
The Director of Public Prosecution.
Let's focus on the Attorney General.
Yeah.
What will be the expectations of the Attorney General to the Court of Appeal?
Well, when he comes to seek for advisory opinion, he expects, to get that advice and support. When he wants to come and give advice to the court as an amicus, as a friend of the court, there are some times when litigants may even object to the AG coming to give advice as amicus. But that, I think, is expectation, and he should be given that right.
Oh, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Wakili.
Afternoon, Waziri.
Yeah,
still Waziri.
I have two questions to ask. I represent the public in this commission oversighting judiciary, and the public, which includes you, more often have a lot of reservations, or they have concerns about the service delivery, mainly customer service in judiciary, where even when lawyers go there, sometimes they get missing files. They complain of a lot of corruption around the area. They get also, they are confronted with very arrogant and employees that are not cooperating, or they are not professional. And having worked around judiciary for a long time, are there areas that you think can be run differently to enhance efficiency and effectiveness? Because that is the main thing that we need to see judiciary doing. And what reforms would you introduce to ensure that that efficiency and effectiveness is seen to be there?
Thank you very much, Waziri, Commissioner. Yes, service delivery is very important, of course, and the public is the most important client of the judiciary. We are you are there to serve the public, and justice delayed is justice denied, and when you have to go and talk to clerks or officers to help you locate your file, it's very frustrating, and some of them require even money or bribe to be to help you locate the file, or they may even hide the file to wait for the next your next appearance. So I think it's a very frustrating. What you have said is true. I was listening to the Chief Justice when she was giving I think her first 100 days, and she said we cannot have cases going on for 3 years. You know, you must have I think time limit. I think you said within 1 year in appeal, 3 years in normal cases. I think maybe if we bring that vision down to all the levels, and we put it into the part of the performance management and enhancement, down to the deputy registrars, to the clerks, then maybe there will be some accountability. They will feel that weight of responsibility to make sure they deliver for the clients, for the people.
So timelines, performance management system. Is there any other?
Very important. Yes.
Okay. So my second question is following what my fellow commissioner Ishu asked you around that area. Is we've seen a lot of successes. I've gone through your CV, and there's a lot of good things that happened across the world. Could you tell us one incident where you introduced an initiative in anywhere, whether it's your law firm or IBC or wherever, that failed miserably or terribly, to the extent that it didn't work for that, and what did you do?
I think 2013 election, it's a matter of public knowledge, and I think you can even take judicial notice that technology failed us in our elections. Even the court can take judicial notice of that. We were very ambitious. We introduced too many technologies, and we learned this much later, that when you are bringing a technology, don't roll it out the first time, all of it. You first do a pilot test. You say we are going to do a pilot and then thereafter, after you have learned some few lessons, then roll out to the whole country. And you must be able to sustain technology. So I said, I was very candid, and I said there's a Sierra Leone proverb which says never test the depth of a river with both feet. I think we tested 3 technologies, and they all did not work. Of course, we managed to later do better, but that is something which I will say
It worked.
yes, didn't work, yeah, and it really impacted on the confidence. I will say this: despite the failures of technology, they did not affect the integrity of the results, because the will of the people was still reflected in the MCS who are elected, the MPs, women rep. Everybody knew these are the guys we elected. So, despite those failures, what was seen was that people saw their will is reflected. But I will say that it had a serious dent in public confidence in the commission. It's very bad.
Thank you. Finally, I've gone also through your CV, and there was a requirement that you state or give us indications on how you give back to society. I have not seen a single activity or initiative for community service. Do you do it, or you have a principle that I don't? You don't?
We say in our faith, charity. What you give with the left hand, the right hand should not know.
Yes.
So I actually do a lot of charity work.
Yes.
Across faith. Even I have got friends from Christian colleagues who ask me who are maybe feeding families or helping orphans.
Yes.
Because I grew up as an orphan, I actually have a lot of soft spot for orphans. So I do help orphanages. I support, I pay school fees for a lot of people. But I didn't put it there because that is charity, and we believe that the left hand should not know what the right hand has given out.
Thank you, Wakili. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable CJ. Council, how are you?
Thank you, Professor.
I can see your master's is still ongoing, or you're done?
Yeah, it's ongoing.
Okay. I only have 2 questions for you, Council, and please tell us some of the soft skills that you have that will help you if you get this job, and tell us how those skills will help you.
I am a very honest and forthright person. I am very humble. I can easily get along with the people. I have a lot of friends across many generations, and even those people I have worked with in the commissions, in law firms will tell you that I'm someone who is good to work with. Yes.
Thank you. And I also note you have a lot of international experience. All this consultancy you've been doing. Have you been able to mentor some younger lawyers that you have worked with, or maybe from your community or any other community?
Yes, as in the law firms we train young lawyers. I used as part of as a consultant. I employed 2 advocates, for example, one for Somali project, one for Afghanistan project. So I gave them that opportunity, and now one is now working with Somalia. A lawyer has gone and gotten a job there. So I do that, and I always try and help and encourage lawyers from Garissa. I was the first person from Garissa to do law in Kenya in 1988. So, but now there are more than 100 students who are now done law, and I have mentored most of them.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, CJ. Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Honorable CJ. Good afternoon again, Council.
Afternoon.
Okay, I have a few questions for you. To start us off, you will be joining the judiciary if you're successful from outside.
Yes.
Most institutions and even corporations usually consider that sometimes instead of inbreeding, bringing in new people from outside brings a fresh perspective and new ideas in handling work.
Yes.
So if you'll be joining us, what strategies, innovative strategies you can think of, especially in the area of case management and backlog eradication, that you would introduce in the Court of Appeal?
I thank you very much, Commissioner, and it is true. People who are from outside can give a different perspective to you. Even when we're employing in commissions and institutions, we always try to also give our in-house people opportunity to grow up, to go up. So that is always, as employees now, as employers, I know it's in your head how to balance the in and the outside. But I think once in a while it's good to bring someone from outside also, because you are going to do a cross fertilization of ideas. Now, from my own view, I think in trying to case management, if you do conferencing with the judges, you talk among yourself first, and you agree quickly. This is where we think this will go, and and you can give one of them to go and do the judgment, and you give yourselves. If you are doing 5, 6, 7, 10 cases, you each give yourself one, and so you hold each other accountable, and say, okay, I'm going to do this one, but you have to do this one also yourself, so that all of us as an institution, as a judiciary, as a court, are able to deliver more. So I think that's one way I would say we try and share that work and quickly deliver judgments.
So essentially,
and manage cases, yes.
Have a realistic, maybe cause list, for example.
Yes.
Okay. Any other?
Well, you can see that I've seen judges also look at the cost list, and it's not a good thing to wait for someone sitting in your court until 1 o'clock when you know you are not going to reach you will not reach his matter. I think it's very good from the word go if you know that you have this time, because we are also human. You cannot do everything forever. I think I will come in the morning, and from the word go, tell those who are not able to be heard there and then, please fix another date, but make sure you are given a priority. I've seen judges who are not sensitive, and they wait and they allow you to sit in their court until your matter is reached, then they tell you, I'm sorry, we cannot hear you now. So that, I think, is something which I will not do as a judge.
Okay, thank you. Wakili, I've listened to you talk, I've looked into your CV, and you've really had a colorful career transcending boundaries, done very many things, and it's commendable.
Thank you, thank you.
But I want to ask you a question which I consider very difficult. We say a judge should be like Caesar's wife, beyond reproach.
Yes.
Now, your name has featured quite a lot in the public domain. And even when we were doing the background checks on you, we received quite a number of complaints which have been served on you.
Yes.
You are working at IEBC.
Yeah.
Of course, naturally, not naturally maybe, but as often would happen, at the IEBC, your name gets more than your fair share of mudslinging in the political arena.
Yes.
So we have the Chicken Gate scandal. We have accusations against you in terms of how you handled the election 2013 and 2017, I believe.
No.
2013.
Only, yeah.
Yes. So, and I want to imagine, because a job in the Court of Appeal, before you can even think of applying, you do a lot of reflection.
Yes.
You do what we call calling yourself to a meeting and asking yourself whether that is a wise move. And I want to imagine you must have done that.
Yes, sir.
So now I'm wondering if, in view of all that has been happening, and even in view of the complaints we have received, which you have responded to, and we've read your response, do you think your appointment to that court would present a challenge?
Thank you very much for your question. I think it is, of course, everyone has got a right to complain, I think, and the JSC Act requires you to notify us of any complaints. And of course, having served in a public office for 8 years, in a very controversial, very hot seat, you can't avoid complaints will be there. The thing is to look at it in a very impartial and a fair way. It's a matter of governance. I was head of I was the chairman and the head and the face of the commission. But when it comes to governance issues on procurement, financial management, there are laws in this country which deal with that. Now, Chicken Gate.
Now, Council, I do want to go into details about those particular. You notice the way I asked you the question, because I know some of the issues touching on that are still pending in court.
Oh yes, yeah, you're right. So yes, I don't think it will have any impact, because people know, people who know me personally, people who have worked with me, know that I'm a person of great integrity. I'm not corruptible. I've never taken bribe.
So you don't see presenting. You earlier on made reference to a quote by the late Mheshimiwa Saitoti.
Yes.
About the personal interest and public interest. You don't think this would be one such occasion?
No.
You do not think so?
No.
Okay. Another aspect of that question that I want maybe to clear with you, like I mentioned earlier, some of the cases touching on those scandals are in court.
Yes.
And in some of those cases, or maybe let me say some of the people involved in those cases have also accused you of some wrongdoing. Whether it is true or not, that is immaterial. But if you are appointed to that court, don't you think there will be the perception that there is likelihood that you'll influence those cases?
No,
the outcome of those cases.
Of course, yes, of course. I can't deny that. But I can assure you, the same person who has accused me of something is the same person who got from me a recommendation in 2016 to work with the Zambia Electoral Commission, and again to work with the Afghanistan election project. What happened this time to do this mad affidavit, I didn't know. But I understand your question. I can assure you that for me, I will not be very biased. I will be very impartial. I'll be very impartial, and I have always been impartial and fair in how I deal with people.
Okay, let's go back to the person you are talking about. I also had a question around that. I read your response to his complaint, and your words were that this person has an axe to grind, or rather not your words, but the essence of your response. This response is that this person has an axe to grind with you, and that when he sought, I think, appointment in Zambia, you didn't visit the same on him.
Yes.
Am I correct? That was in your response.
I did not stoop to his level.
Sorry, you did not stoop to his level. Yeah, those were your exact words.
Yes, I was called by the chairperson of the Zambia Electoral Commission, the late Irene Mambilima. She became the Chief Justice later. And the Director of Elections. And I told them, I didn't want to stop his livelihood. He's an IT guy, so I had nothing to stop him from.
Now that disturbed me, Wakili.
Yes.
The reason being, this is a person against whom you saw an affidavit, and you said he was guilty of malpractices that revolved around disclosing or giving information that he wasn't meant to give out there, isn't it?
According to information we received.
According to information you received.
Yes.
And I believe you must have discussed it in the commission before you dismissed him.
Yes.
Yet when another body, regardless of the fact that it's a different country, another body seeks your opinion about the person in respect to his employment or whatever he was seeking in Zambia, you failed to disclose that. Was that wise? Was that a picture of a person of integrity, a person
No,
that's honest?
I don't think it was necessary for them to know what was. They knew we sacked him, and they knew that he left. But what he was doing was a consultancy. Even if he was giving him a specific job to advise, so I didn't think it was necessary to say that time.
Okay. I think I'll reserve the rest of the questions because, like I had mentioned earlier, the matters are pending in court, and you don't want to be bordering dangerously on sub judice.
Yeah.
So I've looked at your vetting documents, and I didn't see your wealth declaration, though you said you filed it.
Yes, I filed them.
Could we have a look at it?
Application for employment JSC 2A. I did file. I know I did file. I filed it.
Okay, let me just have a look at it. Wakili, what I have here is your application for employment. There was a requirement that you file a wealth declaration form.
Yes.
There is a prescribed form actually under Section 12A of the Leadership and Integrity Act. It's a prescribed form. I have not seen that. Did you file one?
Yes.
Because we do not seem to have received it. We looked at your application, both the hard copy, I'm looking at the record that I have here. It's not anywhere.
What about the one which was uploaded to the system? Have you checked the one which was uploaded?
Whatever documents you submitted, we have them in your file here, and it's nowhere.
I filed the form and then took it to Anti-Corruption Commission.
That was the anti-corruption form. The wealth declaration, you don't take it there. That was just supposed to be filed with your application.
Okay.
Okay, I have seen it in the ones you submitted. Thank you.
Now?
The one you've just given to us, I have seen it. We didn't have it with us.
My apologies.
Okay, so.
My apologies.
Thank you very much, Wakili. I really wish you well.
Thank you.
Thank you, my lady.
Thank you very much, Council, for the engagement. I think one question I just want to clarify is what Commissioner Rwande was asking, is that you left the Electoral Commission under a crowd, if I may use the normal parlance, a crowd of allegations of inefficiency, allegations of corruption, although you say it was through management. And the question she's asking is critical because now if you come to the Court of Appeal, will it not look like somebody who ran down a public body has now come to the Court of Appeal? That's the clarification we'd like to hear from you.
Thank you very much, my Lord Chief Justice. No, I think if you are not swayed by the media hype, because the fact is, my lady, that we were subjected to trial by media and convicted in the court of public opinion without any due process, even when we had nothing to do with the procurement. But because we are the leadership, we have to accept they put on us the blame. But I have always called for investigations. I was the first to write to EACC, come and investigate these allegations of procurement on biometric voter registration, on the ballot papers, on this. They will come. They will give talk to all the commissioners, and I will be the first. Lead by example. I will go to the office of EACC because they will send officers. I will say no, I will come, and even the media will come and wait for me there at that revolving door, and I will go in and give them everything that they want. I was showing that I am open, ready for any questions to ask me whatever you want to know. But because the accountability and liability lies elsewhere, but because you are the head of the institution and because you made certain pronouncements, you announced the results which were not accepted by across the country, you became for example maybe a target of certain groups that were not happy with that. And so I cannot run away from the job that I held. There was both positive and negative which came with it. It's not. It will be a gross injustice if you were to say because there were those clouds, then you can't again be a public officer. It will be the worst form of injustice you can do to a human being. I am 53 years old. I served my country for 8 years. I have gone to other countries with a lot of experience, and I want to bring it down and serve again the country and begin my second part of my life. But because I resigned from IBC, should not be in fact, I think if you know the background, the story behind it, and I think the Honorable Kiraitu Murungi wrote a book about that issue. If you read the Honorable Kiraitu Murungi's book, which came out last year, he talks about that asking us to resign was one of the most difficult things he had to do, because he knew we were innocent. We were all taken. People filed a petition. There were 2 petitions filed in Parliament. There's a procedure for removal of IEBC commissioners. Nothing happened. We defended ourselves and we were found not guilty. But because we do not want to stick on and stay on the job, if we really wanted to be difficult, the government would have been forced to spend more than 1 billion shillings to do a tribunal for each commissioner. But it was, like I said, a national interest. It's part of, this is our country also, and we can't want it to go down the drain. So I think please be mindful about these jobs that we come out of. And you may also become a victim one day. So don't, you could be in the shoe, say yourself too.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, my lady. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Council, for the interaction, and also my colleagues. It's been a very engaging morning. It brings us to the end of the interview, but before we close, we give you an opportunity to tell us something. If you have something to ask, you can also ask.
Thank you very much, my lady. Since I left office in January 2017, I have never appeared in a public forum. I have kept a very low profile. I have lied low like an antelope. And even when I made the decision to apply for this job, it took me time. As you said, I had a meeting with myself and with my wife and my daughters and my children. And this is the only job. There were other jobs that were always advertised: Public Service Commission, Anti-Corruption, other jobs that I could apply. But this is the only one that I said I will apply, because I think I can make a value. I can add value in this court. And I wanted to thank you for giving me that opportunity.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure meeting all of you. I hope that I will join the family. Thank you very much.
Thank you. On behalf of the commissioners, I wish you well. We will get in touch with you when we complete the exercise. Have a very nice afternoon.
You too.
And keep up doing the good work and influencing the whole region.
Thank you.
To have stable electoral commissions and to guard the democracy and the rule of law.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.